Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Pokeball house. I've already made one of these and you might be able to see it on the screen in front of you, except the previous version that I made is an open version of the Pokeball. This is a closed version and I suppose it's a little bit more suitable for a house because there's a lot more interior room. If you do like this video guys, please do drop it a like, I'd really appreciate it. I'm only making this because after making the open version, a lot of you guys asked for a closed version, so I've went and I've done that for you guys. If you want to check out any of my previous builds, especially my Pokemon builds, I'll be leaving links to those in both the card system and the description below, but for now that's more than enough talking. If you want to make the Pokeball, here's what you're going to need. Grab yourself some block of quartz, grab some red wool, grab black wool, and we'll also need just a little bit of quartz stairs. Now, you don't have to make this thing out of like quartz and red wool and black wool. You can use like white wool if you want to, or red stained clay, or whatever you like. I just like this color combination the best. Well, once you've figured all of that out for yourself, once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here near my old Pokeball. You're going to want to look directly down at the ground and place a quartz block. Then from that quartz block, do an up left diagonal on the ground as if you were doing a big slot. Then go left by 2, up by 2. Do an up left diagonal and go up by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Do an upright diagonal, up by 2, right by 2. Do an upright diagonal and go right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do a bottom right diagonal, go right by 2, down by 2. Do a bottom right diagonal and go down by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Do a bottom left diagonal, go down by 2, left by 2, do a bottom left diagonal, and go left until you connect back to where you first started, and you'll end up with a relatively circular looking shape. Looks a little bit like a flower head shape. It'll look a little something like this. And once you've got that taken care of, here's what you want to do. And this is a very simple concept that we're going to be using throughout the entire Pokeball. So, one row higher, and one row outwards in relation to this previous layer of the Pokeball, we're going to trace around the top of this layer of quartz. So this layer of quartz is going to just be one row higher and one row outwards, and it does not want to connect at the corners. That's one of the most important parts. You do not want to connect the quartz at the corners, you just want to keep going round and around and around and around, and you just want to have something which is ever so slightly bigger and of course ever so slightly higher than the previous layer of quartz. So we want to have something which should look a little bit like that. Perfect. Well, once you've done that once, we actually want to do this exact same process 2 more times. So with the quartz, it's going to be like 1 and 2 more times. And then we just want to trace along the top of the outside of this thing, of course, as you guys know we have to do. So this is going to be the bottom of the ball. The bottom of the ball is obviously white, and as I mentioned at the start of this video, you don't have to use quartz if you don't want to. As a matter of fact, the only reason I'm using quartz is because I like it. I like the color of quartz a little bit more than the white wool, or a little bit more than any other material that you may want to use. I mean, snow, I guess, is white. You could use that if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but you definitely could. I just like quartz a little bit over white wool, and I like the combination of quartz and red as opposed to like the red stained clay. It's just a bit more vibrant. Well, that's that first layer taken care of, and now we just have to do the layer on top of it. And of course, it's the exact same process now. We're just going all the way around. And this layer that we're about to do is a little bit individual in relation to what we've done already, because this layer is going to have additional rows of quartz stacked directly on top of it. So we're going to have this first layer of quartz once we've done it, because we haven't done it yet. We're about halfway. We're about halfway right now, and we will add a little bit more. And once we do have this one done, we're going to add more and more layers of quartz on top of it. So we'll actually be adding on top of this 2 additional layers of quartz. Now these aren't the like bigger layers, it's just stacked directly on top of this. So once you've got that taken care of, you can see that we have something which looks exactly like this. We now want to, on top of this, stack 2 more layers of quartz just on top. So directly on top of this, just make this bit a little bit bigger. That's what we want to have. Pretty easy, really. Not only are we going to be doing this once, but we'll also be doing it twice. And what we'll also be doing later, right after this layer, because after we do have these 2 layers of quartz added, we're then going to expand the ball a little bit, and that's actually as big as the ball will ever get. So the next layer after this is as big as the Pokeball will get, or at least in terms of width and diameter and all of those other math terms that I have no idea what they mean. So we'll just extend all of this up, and that's 2 layers of quartz added on top. And once you have those 2 layers of quartz, we then, 1 row above and 1 row outwards in relation to the previous top row of quartz, we then want to add an additional layer of quartz. It is, again, 1 row above, 1 row outwards. And this is the layer that is going to be as big as the ball will be. And it's actually going to be kind of an interesting layer. It's very easy to do, but it's a multicolored layer. Not only are we going to have quartz in this, we're going to have black wool, and we'll also have red wool as well. We'll have all 3 colors. This is the only layer that has multiple colors in it. And once the middle of the ball is taken care of, obviously we're going to be just about halfway once the midway point has been reached. And then it's going to start getting easier when we start downsizing the ball and we start rounding it off at the top. So we're just going all the way around. You guys know how this works. We've just about completed this first layer, and there we go, wonderful. So we have this first layer. This is the biggest part of the ball, and we're now going to add just 1 more layer of quartz on top of this. So we just want the 1 layer of quartz on top of this. We don't have to add any more on top of it afterwards. What we'll then be adding once we have added this layer of quartz is we'll be adding a layer of black wool. Of course, you guys know what a Pokeball looks like, I don't have to tell you, but the middle part of a Pokeball has like a black line going all the way through it. So once you've added that layer of quartz, we're then going to add that black line that goes all the way through the ball, and this is a separating layer of black that cuts the Pokeball in half, and above this is the layer of red. That's what we're going to be adding next. So we'll have an equal amount of red as we have to the quartz, and that'll be 2 rows of red added directly on top of this. So we'll just have that layer of black, and now we will be adding 2 layers of red. So this is going to be the first layer that we add, and then the second layer will come later. And since we haven't really assigned a side to the Pokeball just yet, we'll add all of the other features of the ball. So, you know how it has like that push, that button, that push press? I always call it like a push press. I don't know what you'd actually call it, like the actual like button on a Pokeball that releases it. Like you press it and it's like, I choose you, and then you throw it at the wall and then it breaks and then Bulbasaur's lost forever. That's really unfortunate. It happened to me once. It didn't, obviously. I don't have a real Pokeball, although I did see a pretty lifelike one on YouTube. It looked pretty interesting. Incredibly expensive though. Definitely worth the money if you ask me to have a working Pokeball. But once we have the second layer of red added on top of our layer of black, what we now want to do is we want to start building inwards again. So with our red wool, just exclusively red wool, 1 row above and 1 row inwards, we now want to have the layer of red wool. So as you'd expect, like a sphere shape to go, as any spherical shape, obviously it's kind of like small at the top, it's small at the bottom, and it slowly gets larger as you approach the middle. So that's what we're doing here. We're just adding that layer of red that is 1 row inwards and 1 row higher. It doesn't want to touch at the corners, just as none of the other previous layers do, except for the first layer actually. The first layer does touch at the corners, but you know, that's a special little snowflake, so we don't have to worry about that. Just going to do this first layer of red, and once you have done that first layer of red, we're actually going to be adding 2 additional layers of red on top of it, so that'll be 1 and 2. Can you guys remember the layer that we did before, the multicolored layer? Remember how it had 2 layers of quartz? So like we had like a row of 3 quartz underneath the multicolored layer. Same principle here, we're just copying what we have down below, and you'll find that it's actually the exact same shape that we're doing as well, except of course it's just a different material and the altitude's changed a little bit. The oxygen's getting a little bit thin as you go to the top of the Pokeball. It's a pretty decent sized Pokeball. It's going to be hard to miss, and something that I like about this Pokeball is a lot of circular builds, spherical builds, look weird on the sides. They don't look as if they curve. This actually looks quite nice. So once you've got your 2 layers of red added on top of that first layer of red, we're then going to do no less than 4 times the exact same thing. So what we'll do, it'll look like this. We'll have 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, and 4 layers. 1 row inwards, one row above. So I have that marked out. I'm now going to go on to autopilot mode. I'm not going to be thinking about it too much, and we're just going to continue to do this. So that is as many as we have to do. After this, after you've got like the row of 3 red, the 3 thickness row above the middle of the ball, we just have to do individually 4 more layers, 1 row above, 1 row inwards, just on top of the ball. Easy as that. Not too much trouble. Quite simple. And you know what? There's no real point in talking about it anymore, is there? I mean, you guys know how this works. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. What I will say is I was thinking about doing a different kind of ball. I was thinking about doing a Master Ball house. I did want to do it instead of like a regular Pokeball. I didn't want to necessarily make the Pokeball house, although it looks great, and I do like the Pokeball. It's iconic, especially the first regular Pokeball, the one that doesn't have any adjectives describing it. It's fantastic, I love it, but I think it would be cool to have like a Master Ball version of this. I don't know whether you guys would like that. I don't know whether I'm opening myself up there. If I do like a Master Ball version, you guys going to ask me for a Great Ball? Are you guys going to ask me for an Ultra Ball? Are you guys going to ask me for like a Net Ball, a Smoke Ball, whatever varieties of balls there are. And that sounds so wrong, but you guys get what I'm talking about. Whatever variety of Pokeballs, there we go, that sounds a little more innocent, Pokeballs there are, I don't know whether that's going to open myself up, and whether or not you guys would actually want like a Master Ball house or not. Maybe I could do miniature versions of these houses. I don't know, I've got no idea. So when you get to this top layer, by the way, you don't so much want to just fill in, you don't so much just want to expand the top of the ball by 1 row. What you want to do is you want to completely fill in the area that you have at the top here. So it's very, very simple. You just want to fill in the area that we have all the way up at the top of the ball. And of course it just wants to be 1 row above, and we just want to cover the gap that is left. So we still have the outer ring of red, and you can start off by doing that if you want, but what you then want to do is fill it in. So I'm skipping a step, and you'll end up with something that should look a little bit like that. And that is the Pokeball almost done. So that's the ball part of this. And by the way, just to show you guys the sides, it looks like a ball on the sides, in my opinion. I quite like it. If you want to finish this off, what you'll need is either block of iron or quartz. And what you want to do is you want to pick a side for the entrance of your Pokeball. Obviously, at the moment, it can be any one of the 4. But this is going to be the front side of my Pokeball. We're going to take this middle block in this row of 5 blight that we have. We're going to extend it out by... We're going to try both materials. One with the block of iron. Then we're going to place a block of iron above, left, right, and down from that. And that is going to be, obviously, like the push release of the ball. You can use iron, or you can use quartz. Or a combination of the two, maybe. I just want it to look interesting. I actually quite like the iron as I look at it there. And something else that I like is just the single block of iron in the center. But I think I'm just going to make it completely out of iron. I did originally have it out of quartz, but I like the iron a little bit better because it adds a little bit of contrast. Not much, but some. And just below the push release on the Pokeball, coming all the way down to the bottom front center of this, you want to knock out the bottom 2 front center blocks, and then left and right of those 2 blocks that you've just destroyed, you want to have coming out from the bottom quartz of the left and right that you destroyed, you want 2 quartz, and coming out the top one, just 1. You basically just want to make a little entrance, and it'll look a little something like that. Quite nice, isn't it? Obviously, you can put a door on there, you can do whatever you want, but that is the Pokeball house, essentially complete. I didn't really design a cool interior for this at all, but I can show you what it looks like and what sort of room that you're dealing with, because I did light up and I did apply a floor and stuff to my previous version of this Pokeball. But just to let you guys know, this is the tutorial for this 100% fully completed. I'm not going to show you how to make this next part because you guys will be able to come up with something way better than I have. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is the original version. As you can see, not too much has changed, except that there's an ominous light coming from the inside of the Pokeball. Plus, we have some quartz instead of iron for that push release. So we're going to head inside here, and we'll have a look at what we have. So we have something incredibly simple, something that I always do with these types of houses. I make a little bit of a lobby. As soon as you walk in, I don't know why I like doing this. I don't know. I've got no clue. I like to make a little bit of a lobby with loads of seating and stuff. I'm not sure why. I just just like the aesthetic of it, and it's easy to make it nice and symmetrical that way. We're also greeted by some stairs, so we're going to walk up the stairs and we'll be able to get a nice grasp of how big this thing is. All the way up at the top of the stairs we have a little Pokeball themed bed and we have a nice platform. I like the idea of the platform, I like the idea of the Pokemon themed bed. I wish that there was a little bit more going on with this house. As you can see, it is heavily lit up. It's not lit up 100% perfectly how you would expect a Pokeball to be lit up. If you've ever seen inside of a Pokeball, it's got like little mirrored sections, like spread evenly throughout the ball on both the bottom and the top. This doesn't have that, it just has rows and rows of sea lanterns, but that's what it's supposed to be emulating. I replaced the floor, added staircase, added floating platform, made sure everything's nice and bright, everything's nice and symmetrical, added a pretty cool looking theme bed, which I'm happy by the way. I'm happy with the top half of this, not necessarily happy with the lobby. So hopefully this gives you guys a pretty decent idea how big you can make this house. Obviously you can turn this into a pretty decent survival house if you wanted to. If you use just wool, it's actually not that hard to make at all, is it? I mean, quartz, I don't know how hard that is to get if you're just a survival player. I'm sorry, I don't play much survival. I've played very, very little of it. I don't know whether it's hard to get, but you could absolutely substitute most of these materials for others. And hopefully you have a bit of a cool idea. I love the platform and I love the theme bed. The second half, the upper half of this I love, the lower half not so much. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it, and I really did. I loved making this tutorial, and I hope that you guys appreciate it as much as I do. If you do, please give this video a like, give it a favorite, give it a share. Let me know that you love this thing. I'd really, really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comment section, what else should I build next? Would you like to see some smaller, like, Pokeball statues? Like, maybe I should do the, like, original 4 Pokeballs. I'm talking Pokeball, Ultra Ball, Great Ball, Master Ball, not necessarily in that order. I swapped 2 of those around. The middle 2, you guys know what I'm talking about. And let me know down in the comments, should I do that? And should I do any other Pokemon related builds? A few of you guys suggested that maybe we can see Pikachu over there in the background, which highlights this point. A lot of you guys suggested that I should maybe do some other Pokemon statue houses. That's a house, by the way, that Pikachu has. He suggested like Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I might have to look into this. Check out the card system, check out the description below. I'll be leaving links to loads of my other builds in there, mainly my Pokemon builds, but I might include some other things that you may or may not be able to see around you in the distance. I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek at what you're going to see in the creative tour that's going to be rolling up on Sunday. Well, thank you very much for watching. Like, favourite, share if you wouldn't mind. Comment down below. Check out the card system. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.